another retro look at, and still sticking with Debian based. So at the same time, of course, Ubuntu was making its own waves, and there was another distro at the time called Xandros. And Xandros, of course, had a bit of turbulation in the Linux community back in the day because it included some non-open source, non-open free software at the time. And basically, what Xandros was, it was the continuation of Coral Desktop, which of course was also based on Debian. And the whole idea of Xandros was to have a easier version of Linux to use. And back in the day, of course, it had a desktop, a home edition, a premium edition, a professional edition, a server system. You name it, it was there. And I can tell you, as someone that used and tried Xandros probably about in 2006. At the time, I quite liked it. It was relatively simple-ish, and I was actually very surprised Xandros never did better than it did. And of course, eventually, Xandros just died out. Um, so let's take a look at memory lane, and I'm gonna take you through Xandros. Let's just call it Xandros. I'm surprised it actually knows about Xandros in VirtualBox, 32-bit. Oh, no, let's give it at least 2 gigs of memory. Actually, I'm going to give it 4 gigs. Might be overkill, but Xandros always was a little bit heavy. Let's just give it... Yeah, 18 gigs should be fine. And like most of these distros, just reconfigure the hard drive so it points to an IDE controller instead. So let's give it the Xandros link, move that. Okay. And the reason I say I'm surprised Xandros didn't do so well, Xandros was, pretty simple and easy desktop environment to get up and running. I know it used KDE at the time, customized. It had the more proprietary Xandros file manager, which was originally based on Coral's file manager, and it had a whole bunch of software with it, and it was really easy to get going. A lot of stuff that we take for granted now in Linux, Xandros was ahead of its time. Truth be told, but I just don't think they really knew how to market it, and if anything, they tried to make it more of a... It's kind of like Windows, but not Windows type thing. So he was the installer. Remember, for 2004, this is pretty decent. Just express install again. Let's just give it an easy password. The silliest thing for me is that you could actually create this and install it without having a normal user account. You could just log in while using root. So security wise, not necessarily the best out of the box. So here, pretty simple, literally just doing everything by itself. The installation doesn't take too long. I'm trying to think back of why I stopped using Xandros back in the day, and I think just because the other distros were eventually better supported and had a better community going around them, and you didn't have to worry as much about licenses. You didn't have to worry about having the system slightly closed off from you, because one of the things Xandros did, if I remember correctly, was it didn't have apt. So, if you installed software, you would do it through the Xandros store. So they did also try to lock it down quite a bit as well. And of course, now at the same time, people were now getting used to installing software with Ubuntu. And now you try to come do that on this desktop, and you're out of luck. It ain't gonna work. Really not great. I did like the Xandros file manager back in the day, especially when it came to, as you can see on the screen, mounting different devices. It made it really easy, at least for newbies. Should almost be done here. And yeah, it says it's not completed. You could create a rescue disk. I'm first just going to make sure the media is not still in, because if it is, it will boot up from the wrong media. So yeah, let's remove it, let's reboot it, and see what happens. Okay, Xandros Desktop 2.5. See, there's a safe mode if you had issues with the graphics card. Okay. Takes a couple of seconds, that's for sure, to get itself up and running. If you hear a noise in the background, I do apologize. It is one of the birds nearby is not having a very good day, unfortunately. Anyway, welcome to the first run. Wizard has its own music, your region that you want to choose, time, any printers. Do you want to change your preferred system behavior? Do you want it to operate more like Windows? Do you want it to look more like Windows? Do you want it to look more like KDE? Not too different back then. Unix. That's pretty old school, that. Mac OS. Oh wow, it would actually put something at the top, a bar at the top. That's interesting. I'm just going to keep it with the default, and of course I don't want to register at the time. Right, okay, so desktop environment, pretty clean install. KDE, still using Star Office 7. In case you didn't know, Star Office eventually got open sourced by Sun Microsystems back in the day and became Open Office, which people know and love. It also included a edition of crossover Office as well, if you wanted to install Windows applications, and then of course the normal type of software, Mozilla web browser, and that was still Mozilla 1.6, pre-customized as well, the Debian package. Control Center, this is of course KDE's Control Center, customized. So if I was to look at display, right, background, colors, all of that pretty normal. Unfortunately, I can't really change this adapter, so I can't improve the screen resolution, unfortunately. Let's change it, picks it up as VMware though. File manager behavior, heck, you name it, you can change it, staying true to KDE. Home, this is the Xandros file manager that I was talking about earlier. You can immediately see this was inspired by the Windows XP file manager. There's no doubt about it. Even its layout looks pretty similar here. Again, you could go to my documents, my music, go up, go to the side. Really, not much else there. You could easily check for work groups, which was pretty easy. NFS, CD-write to CD-ROM, all pretty easily available from one location. And let's just take a look here. Volume, yeah, all pretty old default. Sorry. Now I just need to now find a terminal console, I guess. Cool. So let's check its memory. 371 megs of use, really pretty low. It's used 1.1 gigs of storage, not bad at all. And kernel 2.4.24, really old kernel. And this was built on Feb 20th, 2004. Okay, let's just do a Alice, not darkness star 7, so let's just change it to the root, and Alice in the root, and yeah, normal file system, normal partition, normal layout, nothing much to write home about there at all. Just checking more of the utilities, administrative tools, again, console again, menu editor, Star Office, CD player, audio player, and if I'm correct, I think this would have been KD. This would be KDE 3 point something. I'm sure. Let's just open up something here again from KDE side. Utilities. Good grief. If anything, I find this more difficult than anything else of today's modern day to use. Yeah, I'm just looking for administrative tools, console, menu editor, process manager, utilities. Heck, I don't even know, hey? Oh, there it is, control center, my good grief. Oh, okay, it was actually here earlier. KDE 3.1.4. And yeah, this was Xandros. And as you can see, had a couple of quirks. It really tried to be Linux easier for Windows users. This, of course, was a business edition, useful by some corporates. But yeah, fortunately or unfortunately, no matter how you look at it, it was not successful and eventually came off the market. So yeah, that's this road down memory lane. Thanks for watching.